The fifth thing that John says in this passage concerning the servants, he says, we, the servants, will see his face. We will see his face. Now, we might read that and not see any significance in that, but if you remember again your Old Testament, you remember the life of Moses, who was an obedient servant in every way that God would ask him to be obedient. He was obedient, and he came to God at a time in his life when maybe he just needed something special from God. And he came to God and he said, God, I want to see your face. And that seems like a very insignificant request, except it's God. And he just wanted to see his face. Doesn't seem to be something wrong. I suppose all of us would have that desire to see the face of God. And I don't know what may have happened here with Moses and how he responded when God said to him, no, I cannot allow you to see my face. If you read on in the story, you will understand why God was not able to do that. Perhaps God would have liked to have shown Moses his face. But he said to Moses, the radiance of my glory is so strong that your physical life could not bear it, and you would die. The radiance of God's glory, the holiness of his glory. In fact, in some translations, instead of Moses saying, I want to see the face, your face, God, it says, I want to see your glory. It seems to be a Hebrew word that can be interchanged, but meaning basically the same thing. I want to see your face. I want to see your glory. We sing about the glory. Hoping that we understand the glory of God, the radiance of his glory. I just want to see your glory. I want to see your face. You know, when you think about his request of asking to see his glory, you think about all that Moses had seen of God's gloriousness, the 10 plagues that brought deliverance for the Israelites out of Egyptian bondage. These plagues within themselves. Moses was partaker of these plagues, and he saw the hand of God. And he saw God bring water out of rocks when the Israelites were going through the desert, and God rained manna from heaven, bread for them to eat. He saw the glory of God in so many different ways, and yet here he comes to this point of making this request. I want to see your glory. I want to see your face. I want to see more than what I have already seen. I want to experience more than what I've already experienced. And that is a desire. That is a desire that should be alive in our own lives. Never should we be satisfied with what we have had. I want to see more of God's glory. I want to see him do greater things. I want to see him do greater miracles, move in a greater way. I want to see altar calls more full. I want to see people coming to Jesus. I want to see the manifestation of the glory of God with my own eyes. Oh, give him a hand. Give the glory of God a hand. I want to see your face. Number 6 in the passage, we will be marked as belonging to Him, an unknown mark on our forehead. I found this to be intriguing. We know something about the requirements of a mark in the last days. It is called the mark of the beast. You'll find it vividly described in Revelation 13, but the mark of the beast is referred to 12 to 14 times within the book of Revelation, the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, of course, is a mark that people receive to show that they belong to the Antichrist. But more than just their belonging to him, it's a pledge of allegiance to him. That's the reason the Bible clearly says that the person who receives the mark of the beast is doomed for eternity. Once the mark of the beast has been taken, that person's destiny is sealed and they can never come to God. But here is a mark. This is not a mark of the Antichrist, of Satan. It is a mark of ownership that we belong to God. I have no idea what this kind of mark. It just simply says it's a mark upon the forehead. I don't think it's a number. I think it's just some way that we are identified as having surrendered our life to God, and we belong to Him. And in the glories of heaven, we will have this mark. He then describes heaven as having no night. I'm not sure whether that's 7 or 8. There will be no night in heaven. And this again is something that we know, and we may not see any significance in this, but darkness is something that belongs to the world of Satan. We have a night for us, and the reason we have a night is for the physical rest that we need. The spirit does not have to rest. There is a certain belief that's going around that says that when we die, we go into what is called soul sleep, spirit sleep. Our spirit doesn't sleep. Spirits don't sleep. And I don't know where this ideal comes from. When you're physically resting and you're sleeping, do you ever dream? Well, sure, we all dream. Good dreams, bad dreams, sometimes terrifying dreams. Do you ever just wake up and glad you woke up? Wow, I'm glad that's not really real. Our spirit is alive. So night is needed. We physically rest. But the Bible is clear in saying something about the night. It says that men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. One of the first things, the number one, when God was creating our world, the first thing He did was to create light. He said, "Let there be light." And that was not the sun. The sun would not be created till later. That was a creation of God because darkness is not of God. Let there be light, and light came into our world. There, John is simply reminding us, telling us that there will be no night there. number 9, he says something to us that we understand. He says, we will reign forever and ever. Forever and ever, we understand, I think. But what caught my attention in reading this is the word reign. Not typhoon rain, but reigning as in a kingdom. We are going to reign with him. This places an honor upon our being there. We're actually going to partake of his reigning. We will have responsibilities given to us. And we will reign with him forever and ever. I do like the phrase that we use so often. Actually, the two phrases, that he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He's the King, and we will be part of his kingdom, serving in his kingdom. We will reign forever and ever. The last thing that John writes in this passage, the angel said to John, these words are trustworthy and true. These words are trustworthy and true. So what do we have in this passage? We have our destiny as children of God spelled out for us very clearly. We are heaven bound. And that is not something so spiritual that we cannot get a hold of. We are heaven bound. This world, I remember singing the old song, this world is not my home, I'm just passing through. And that's true. Peter called us pilgrims. A pilgrim is someone who is on a journey. We are pilgrims. We are on a journey. Heaven waits for us. And I simply do not know how I could cope with the world as it is without the hope of heaven. One day it'll all come to an end. For some of us, it may come earlier than other times, but there is coming an end to this troubled world that we live in. God is going to step in, take control, restore the glory of his creation as it was in the beginning. And you and I will be a part of it. Heaven bound. Are you heaven bound? Are you heaven bound? Do you have the assurance deep down inside of you that you are heaven bound, that when this life comes to an end, it will only be an end to this physical life as we now know it. We will step into the most glorious world that we could ever imagine. This is not the only description of heaven that John gives us, but it is one of the descriptions. It is going to be a glorious place. My wife and I, just ever so often, and not many days go by that we don't refer to her mother, her father. I think we referred to breakfast to her father, my father. I hated to see my father go, but I knew where he was going. And if you know where you're going, if you know where your loved one is going, you can accept the reality of it all. Heaven is real. It's a real place. And it is what Jesus said in John 14. He says, I'm going to prepare a place for you. That's the reason I'm leaving. I'm going to prepare a place for you. And as soon as I get it ready, I'm going to come back for you, because where I am, that's where I want you to be. Jesus wants us to be with him. I would love to have my children with me. My 2 girls are not babies, but I'd love to have them with me. My grandchildren, well, there's 4 of them, and they're still babies to me. I'd love to have them around me. It's not possible right now, but one day it's going to be possible. We'll all gather together. I don't want to miss that time. I don't want you to miss it. Heaven is real. Heaven is waiting on us. It's going to be worth every trial, every difficulty, every struggle that you go through. Every price that you may have to pay will be nothing compared to the glory of heaven. Heaven is real. It's a real place. Our Savior is there preparing our place. I want to go there. Do you want to go?